Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said defenses must be immediately stepped up on the front lines, after meeting with commanders at several key pressure points in the south and east. Russian troops attempted to encircle the eastern city of Avdiivka, and they targeted the southern regions of Kherson and Zaporizhzhia. Russian forces have intensified attacks on the eastern Ukrainian city of Avdiivka, seeking to encircle Kyiv forces there as Russia's war in Ukraine continues. The fighting is reminiscent of fighting in another eastern city, Bakhmut, which fell to Russian forces last May after months of brutal urban fighting. Since Russia launched a new offensive around Avdiivka in October, top Ukrainian generals and Western military experts have given grim assessments of Ukraine's ability to break Russia's defense lines. Fighters of the 59th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed an armored column of Russian invaders who stormed their positions. The video recording was taken from the monitor of the operator of the domestic anti-tank missile complex, Stugna. You can clearly see a tank driving across the snowy field, followed by two armored fighting vehicles and another tank. The first anti-tank guided missile hit the tank directly and exploded powerfully. The fighters quickly reloaded the ATGM and hit three more armored vehicles, which were driving straight at them. After that, they started reloading their Stugna for the fifth time, but the video then stopped. Russia says its troops are advancing on every part of the Ukrainian front, although observers have seen little movement. The front line has barely changed this year, but the fighting continues to be fierce. Vladimir Putin has ordered his country's military to increase its troop levels by nearly 170,000, as Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues into its 22nd month. Fighters of the ACHILLES company of unmanned attack aircraft systems of the 92nd Separate Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine managed to thwart another attempt of Russian invaders in the direction of Bakhmut. At the same time, T-72B3 tanks worth $3.5 million, S-60 automatic anti-aircraft guns on Ural trucks, ATVs and UAZ Patriots were destroyed. Another enemy tank, T-72B3, was damaged. ACHILLES commander Yuri Fedorenko announced this on his Telegram channel, publishing edited relevant videos, including from footage taken by kamikaze drones. The arrival of winter in Ukraine as the country continues to fight against Russia means conditions on the battlefield are increasingly unfavorable for troops and heavy equipment to advance. Earlier this week, Ukrainian forces reported that Russian troops trying to encircle the eastern city of Avdiivka were being hampered by worsening weather. With the terrain frozen and turning muddy while snow is already falling heavily in Ukraine, analysts do not expect troops from either side to significantly push the front lines in any direction in the next few months. Fighters of the assault group Asgard of the Ochi unit of the 120th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroyed or damaged two tanks, two UAZs, a fuel tank, and an S-60 gun on the truck of the Russian invaders. This was reported by the Telegram channel Asgard FPV Force, publishing a related video edited from footage, mostly shot by kamikaze drones, as well as controlling unmanned aerial vehicles. Russian invading forces have occupied most of Donetsk, and Russia says it intends to take over the entire region. Ukraine's military said yesterday its air defenses shot down 14 of 20 drones in Russia's overnight strikes. But the front line has remained largely static over the past year despite massive pressure by Ukrainian forces this summer with Western military hardware. For the second winter in a row, Russian President Vladimir Putin took advantage of Western countries' fatigue to step up his attacks on Ukrainian cities. trying to freeze Ukrainians into submission. But this year, he got help from those in Washington who argue for pressing Ukraine into negotiations rather than focusing on helping Ukraine win the war. The front lines of the Russian-Ukrainian war appear to be deadlocked. Congress delayed providing Ukraine with much-needed military, economic, and humanitarian aid. Some experts in Washington argue that Ukraine should back away from their goal of expelling Russian forces completely from their sovereign territory. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said changes were needed to improve Ukraine's mobilization and recruitment system as part of an overall strategy to improve the country's military standing in the fight against Russia. In his evening video address, Zelensky said a military command meeting had discussed scenarios for producing real results for 2024 under war conditions. U.S. National Security spokesman John Kirby said Washington had been working with Ukraine to prepare for a Russian onslaught ahead of winter by shoring up supplies in case of attacks on heating and electricity infrastructure. Separately, Russia's presence at a European security meeting taking place on Thursday caused a stir. "We are facing a new phase of the war, and that is the fact," Zelensky told the Associated Press in an interview in Kharkiv yesterday, which was published this morning. "Winter as a whole was a new phase of the war," he said. Asked about the backlash, he said, "Look, we will not back down. I am satisfied. We are fighting with the second best army in the world. I am satisfied," he said, referring to the Russian military. But he also said, "We lost a lot of people. I'm not satisfied. We didn't get all the weapons we wanted. I can't be satisfied, but I also can't complain too much." Speaking about last summer's backlash, the Ukrainian leader said, "We want faster results. Unfortunately, from that perspective, we did not achieve the desired results, and this is a fact."